to share good practice with others, because it can be risky. It can feel, as a teacher, it is a risk.
To share those ideas and then start to really plan for change and think about, what do we want to achieve? How are we going to achieve it? What are the barriers to change going to be?
Hi everyone and welcome to empowerED. My name is Ricky Brown and I'm an Apple Professional Learning Specialist at Sync. Today I'm joined by Matt Squires, Digital Lead and Apple Learning Leader, and Michelle Kingston, Apple Teacher and Physical Education Lead, both joining us from Inglewood Junior School. Welcome Matt and Michelle. Today we will be discussing what it takes to become an Apple Distinguished School and how Inglewood Junior School embarked on that journey. So, one of the things I want to just make clear is there's a lot of things that Apple schools can do through their digital journey, from being a regional training centre where they're accredited by Apple to actually share a lot of their practice and give out training sessions, and to becoming an Apple Distinguished School, which is really a school that is showing excellence and innovation with digital technologies within their schools, and sometimes they have a unique selling point. So you've managed to do both of these throughout your journey. So I'm really interested in what was that journey like, and where did it begin? And I'm going to start out with you, Matt.
Well, it began in 2016. It actually came from an Ofsted report, which gave us the target of trying to produce more independent learners. And so we as a staff met, and we thought one way we could go about meeting this target was to introduce technology. And at the time then, our digital lead, Elizabeth Cairns, and our head teacher went with Sync and visited a couple of Apple Distinguished schools and saw what they were doing. And then the journey started there.
Brilliant. And the same question to you, Michelle.
Yeah, so I joined Inglewood Juniors in September of 2020. So it was smack bang in the middle of a pandemic, and the children were coming back to school after a period of being, at home, sedentary, not moving. So I saw an opportunity there to, as a PE lead, to use the tech that we have in school to kind of get out of the classroom, and use our space, use fitness as a tool to kind of develop the children's fitness, really.
And I think a lot of the things that you've said there are really important. That it's about becoming more independent. It's about a lot more than just exam results. It's about a lot more about developing that child within education, isn't it? I'm going to just come back to something you said before there, Matt. At the very beginning of this, you actually went to look at Apple Distinguished Schools, and obviously now you are one, so you've actually gone that full circle of looking at one to becoming one. What benefits did you actually get from actually seeing this as an Apple Distinguished School right at the beginning when you're thinking about this journey?
I think whenever you see something working in practice, it's powerful. And I think going into a school and seeing children working independently, collaborating, is really, really powerful. So you can read, you can have meetings, but to see it live and in practice, I think really hits the message home. And I do remember the group that went across the Apple Distinguished School coming across and couldn't believe what they'd seen children of the same age as our children doing. And that, I think, just to see it live is always a benefit.
I mean, there is that thought, you can't be what you can't see, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is that sort of idea, and having that practice, that's something that you're currently doing, you can change that practice, which I think, if I can just go with that bit just for you at the moment, Michelle, is you said that you saw an opportunity with the tech to actually to address the whole well-being of children.
Yeah. Our children love sport at Inglewood. They love being outside. They love working together. To do that with the tech that we've got, you can do it in any lesson. We've got an orienteering course set up at our school that the teachers can take learning anywhere. And the children they don't even know that they're learning at that point, you know, and that's the powerful. That's where it becomes really powerful, you know, the talk that they have, the collaboration that it's just natural. It naturally happens, and arguably, could it happen in a classroom? Perhaps, but outside, the children who maybe feel those barriers in the classroom, suddenly that's disappeared, because they can give their answers as audio, they can record videos, and suddenly those children who perhaps find a barrier with a pen and pencil, it's disappeared.
I mean, I'd like, just for everyone that's listening, to understand a little bit more about your orienteering course, because like you said, they've got all of these opportunities to be able to tell you something and so onwards, and then obviously they don't realise the learning, which it's the best type of learning you can actually have, but they also don't realise that they're doing all of this exercise at the same time as they're walking around. But can you just explain what actually just happens when you've set that up and the children go out and do what is it they're doing?
Yeah, of course. So the teachers can set up a course on the app to learn anything. So it could be from maths, it could be history, they could be writing sentences in English. It's the opportunities are endless. You know, we've done fitness circuits with it, and for anything really. When the children go outside, they have the ability to scan the plaque. That we have 20 plaques around school. They scan the plaque, and whatever the teacher has programmed on there will come up to them. And the teacher has the ability to say, I want this answer to be recorded as audio, I want this one to be recorded as video, I'd like them to type this one or write it, draw it. That then gives the children the opportunity to almost be the drivers, really. And that's what we're aiming for.
It is. It's that independent choice.
Yes, absolutely.
It's one of the things that that we talk about is we want to see their thinking.
Yes,
we want to
course.
Understand where they are and what
course.
their knowledge is, so that then we can take them on to the next step. But without finding that, we can't do that.
And the collaboration that comes with that is really powerful, because in the classroom, you see almost the freedom that the children have when they're outside, and they collaborate naturally. Whereas in the classroom, it's a lot more, you know, it's stilted a little bit. It can be stilted.
And I think this is probably one of those changes that you probably didn't envisage at the very beginning, Matt, when you actually started seeing this, because, like I said, I know that this is something that's quite unique that you guys are doing at Inglewood. Going back to that first part of that journey that you were on, what was your drivers at that very first time?
Yeah, the vision was that from that target to have more independent learners, and that covers quite a lot actually. What the journey's taken us so far, but along the way a learner looks at Inglewood in 2024, I would suggest, is very different to how a learner looked in 2016. In 2016, lessons were teacher-led, probably at a whiteboard, generally with working books or a worksheet for a child to complete. And that's totally different to where we are now. Children lead learning. Children lead lessons because they have the capacity and ability to do so because of the technology that we have in school. That didn't happen overnight. We very much started off with shared iPads in school across 2 classes. And I remember on our vision planning session, which we had in 2016, it was carefully set out how we would progress from shared iPads to one-to-one iPads, which we were fortunate enough to do. The outdoor education came probably as a knock-on effect from the COVID pandemic. Yeah. We felt as a school one of the things we couldn't replicate via home learning was the outdoor exercise that we have in a school. And what we wanted to do was integrate the technology with outdoor learning to show that it can be done. But I'd certainly say what stayed consistent is the desire for our children to take ownership and lead their learning. And that's been the same since 2016 and remains in 2024.
And I think having that change and keeping that vision the same, which is brilliant, having that change will have affected teachers. And I know through some of the work that we've done alongside yourselves, that has made a big change, and you want to spread that that message across? And it started off with the RTC. Can you explain a little bit more about these regional training centre and the courses that you did?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we became an Apple Regional Training Centre in 2019. We got our accreditation in September. I remember we had a launch event for our Regional Training Centre in March or early April 2020,
Yeah.
which, if we remember then in 2020, what happened after we had a lockdown. So our regional training centre got off to an interesting start. However, along the way since then, we have designed lots of online and face-to-face courses to support teachers using technology in the classrooms. And they're from basic how to use an iPad in a lesson, how an iPad works, to more deeper things now is how to use iPad to support accessibility, to support equitable access, how to use an iPad for outdoor education. And that message has gone, well, dare I say, it has gone global, because we've had international webinars with people joining from all across the world. And they've been really well attended. Now we are getting back more, we're able to get more to the face-to-face things and face-to-face sessions with teachers. I always think when we design an Apple Regional Training Centre course, I always think what it was like for myself back in 2016, 17. What did I need? What would I have wanted? And I always have that person in mind.
And I think that's important. And is it just you that do that, Matt, or is...
No, I think along the way we have a team. I am the Apple Regional Training Centre manager. I lead that, but that is alongside a team of 5 or 6 people who meet on a regular basis, and we design courses around our strengths. Yeah. So we had a recent course on outdoor learning, which Michelle designed and led. We've got a course that is coming up soon, which is about digital security and safety, which the deputy head's leading. So it's very much a team effort, and I just oversee the running of that and work alongside Sync to publishing it for all of the schools.
And to promote it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what was that like for you, Michelle? Because let's be honest, I mean, you go into a classroom, you think I'm going to be a teacher, and you think I've got a classroom of children in front of me, but now you're actually talking on sessions that are promoting good practice that you are doing in your school and trying to share that with could be hundreds, thousands.
Well, it's empowering for me as a full-time classroom teacher to share good practice with others, because it can be risky. It can feel, as a teacher, it is a risk to change practice that you've always done and you've been comfortable doing all of your teaching career, to now suddenly think those children in my classroom need to be working harder than me. So I need to use the tech in a way to empower them to say, I can create my own learning. I can be the creators, not just to consume what you're giving me. I can then say, okay, show me how you know this, but I can do that using the tech. But it's a shift. It needs to be a shift, and it needs to be a whole team kind of view to say we can give those children who we're working with the power to lead their own learning. And I think you've got to be confident in your own kind of knowledge that this is where I want the children to get to, and we'll do it together. Because actually, as a teacher, I don't know everything, and it's okay to show the children that, and they can succeed far more than if, as a teacher, we say, this is what I want us to do, and this is how we're going to do there, and you'll have to keep up with me. That isn't... Those children aren't going to work like that. They're not going to live like that. So we're giving them the tools now to be their own creators. And I think that's really powerful.
I think it is. And I think I can hear the passion in your voice.
Yeah,
about what you're actually talking about. And it is that bit that, and as we're all teachers, and it's about that bit of having that comfortable nature of actually,
totally.
I'm going to change some practice.
Yes.
But that comes back to that vision, isn't it? It comes back to the vision, why you're doing it. And if your vision is you want to create more independent learners, then this change in practice actually allows them to do it. So brilliant. We've moved on a little bit of the journey. We've moved from implementing shared iPad to one-to-one to actually now becoming a regional training centre in 2019, and now we're in lockdown in 2020. So surely you must have felt that you were successful at that point, Matt. You must have felt that actually, do you know what, I've done this journey. I'm now an Apple Regional Training Centre. I'm telling everyone how good we are. What happened next?
That's a really good question. We did. I did think that exactly that, and I thought we are an Apple Regional Training Centre. We know what we're doing, and then the pandemic hit, and I thought because we had one-to-one iPads which we were able to send home, I felt our remote learning provision was really strong, really strong. I thought children were able to access daily lessons with and had the technology to do so without us having to arrange extra technology because the technology was already there. And we came back to school after the 2 lockdowns in a pretty confident that, you know, we'd done the best that we could do, and we did. What happened then a little bit was all the good things that had come from using technology, we had to go back to the original vision on why we brought the technology in the first place. And all the technology had done a fantastic job during remote learning. It was deeper than that why we got the technology, and we had to not start again, but revisit why we got the technology, what made us really successful pre-pandemic, and using CPD opportunities with Sync and with Everyone Can Create guides as well, and just going back to that original and refreshing teachers' memories because they'd had to use the technology in a very specific way during the pandemic. So we had to start again, really.
And I think going back to that vision is always helpful, isn't it? Is that vision still true? Is it what we want? Are we innovating still? Are we moving forward? And I suppose that's when obviously yourself joined, Michelle, was in that pandemic time, and we've already talked about the outdoor education, about what you actually did with that. But there's more than just your orienteering course that you actually do outside, isn't there?
Yeah. So we, as a school, we've always kind of done the daily mile. You know, and it became more important coming back from the pandemic. We needed to get our children moving. We've got a super grounds at Inglewood. You know, we're really lucky to have lots of space, and we saw an opportunity to kind of track their progress. And this it's made a huge difference, hasn't it, to kind of the motivation of the children. They see a why and a purpose, and I think that's huge for children. They need to be able to see why we're doing this, what difference is this making to us. So with our tech, all the staff iPads have the app on. All of the children have a QR code with that they run with. So every time that they do a lap, we scan it on their iPads. Really, really slick. It's really quick, the system that we use. The children have a time, 30 seconds to take a breath, and then they're off. You know, they're off again. And it's become part of our weekly celebration in assembly. You know, the classes get a trophy if they've run the most miles per week, and the teachers can show the children leaderboards to say who's kind of run the most laps that week. And it's just a real intrinsic motivation for them that is only possible because we've got the tech that we've got.
And I think that's important, isn't it? It's that motivation of a challenge for the children to actually do it. And
children love a challenge.
They do. Completely.
Teachers love seeing, don't they? You know, we love a competition at Inglewood, so it's lovely to see. And it's not just about the fitness; it's about the mental well-being of our children as well. The way that they connect, the way that the connections build on our track, and the partnerships that happen there don't happen in the classroom. You know, we've got children running together that perhaps wouldn't talk in the classroom. And all of a sudden they're making that connection, and it's valuable for them. It's valuable for their fitness. It's valuable for their mental well-being. They come back in the classroom refreshed and ready to tackle what's next.
I mean, in theory, that could actually be done without tech.
It could.
But it's that recording of what it's done and everything else that's important. I can just imagine every morning, instead of briefing, all your teachers running that mile. I think that's what I've got in my head at the moment, which could
They've all got cards.
which could be something different. But I'm just thinking, going back on that motivation part, I know that when I've been round Inglewood before, lessons have changed. And instead of the children just getting one way to answer a question, they're allowed choice, aren't they, Matt?
And that's the key word, choice. Our children are offered choices across the curriculum. How they respond to lessons is in their hands, whether that be via Keynote, whether by making a video, maybe using paper. It is their choice. And that's taken time because it requires a lot of thinking in lesson design by the teacher at the start. But actually, as you get your head around it, as you're flipping that learning, as you're putting children in control of the learning, the planning and preparation of the teacher, time-wise, is required less. It's more of a scaffolding approach within a lesson. And I think what I'm really proud about is when you walk around our school from class to class, is the variety of ways children are working, which they've chosen to do, which we wouldn't be able to do without the technology. We wouldn't. And the buzz it creates in learning.
Proud to show off, aren't they? They're proud to show off what they've created.
Absolutely. I think, how you start a writing lesson, it's not we're going to write, it's we're going to make a podcast. And the kids are like, well, great. And I think that's powerful. And it's taken time to get there. And our staff have worked incredibly hard along the way to up-level their own skills, to be confident, to deliver those experiences to our children. And I think that's what makes us stand out, really, is it's not the independence, which is not only the independence, we've got the vision, but it's the creativity. It's the choice that our children have across the curriculum in every lesson.
And I think there's so much in there that is just brilliant. I've got to be honest. And it is that bit that you're saying, that the teachers are changing their thinking, and it's back down to why, isn't it? It's back down to the why and what am I trying to teach in this lesson, and it doesn't matter how it comes back as long as we can see that child's thinking, isn't it? And have you seen that through the practice that you've done since you've joined Inglewood?
Absolutely.
And to now, Michelle?
When I first joined Inglewood, we were teaching in bubbles. I was in a new school. I couldn't leave the classroom because, we couldn't cross-contaminate. So I had to learn with the children. I had an iPad that I'd never taught with an iPad before, but I had to grow with the children, and taking risks wasn't what I was comfortable with. But actually, my practice has shifted 180. I'm happy to take risks because I can see the benefit that it's had for those children. And my controlling nature, my control freak nature, has been able to say, do you know what? This is where we need to be. Let's get there.
And I think that's really interesting, isn't it? That your teaching practice has changed.
Totally.
And one of the things you said before is children are really happy with they've changed what they do, and they're proud to show off what they've actually done. So this must really dig in for you, Matt, that you wanted independent learners and you wanted equitable access and equitable demonstration of knowledge.
It is, and I see it every day. I see it across the school. I see it in all our classes. I see an engagement with, often it's a challenging national curriculum across all the year groups, and I see children embracing and engaging with difficult different concepts every day in a sort of like a buzzing way. And I think, once again, because they're independent, which is growing, because they've got a choice, I think they look forward to coming to school. I think they look forward to the lessons at Inglewood, because every lesson's different, and the children have to work hard because the teachers, although we work incredibly hard, the children have to put the effort in because they're leading their learning. It's up to them to find out the answers to the questions, not the teacher to give them the answers.
You show me,
Yeah.
I think it's this change in practice that you're talking about, and this change in teaching and learning that's happening, and that flip from teachers doing, say, for instance, 80% of the work and talking so much to the children do a lot more of the work. Is that what led you on to actually thinking, do you know what, we can take this next step? We can become an Apple Distinguished School.
Yes, I think when I look back to 2021, which we've discussed, where I thought we were an Apple Regional Training Centre, successful Apple Regional Training Centre, we then revisited everything and we started again. And then when I was walking around, I was seeing great things in classrooms happening on a daily basis, naturally. I thought we are there, or we're nearly there. And we invested a lot of time through CPD, through sharing ideas in staff meetings and Apple Bites, as we call them, and a lot of staff sharing different skills, different staff leading different areas. It wasn't just the Apple Regional Training Centre manager, it was Michelle, I'm going to lead the PE. And we got lots of great ideas. I saw children really making progress. I saw the inspiration, I could see the impact, I could see the creativity, and I thought, yes, we are an Apple Distinguished School.
We had things that set us apart. didn't we? You know, we had things that that were not just using the tech because it's there. We had things that set us apart from just schools that use iPads.
When a visitor, and we had visitors at that point, as we always had, because we were getting visitors back into school. When a visitor comes to your school and says, wow, that means a lot, because we as a staff, as a team, we've invested a lot of time and effort into integrating the technology into our daily practice. So when people come in and they sort of give you that acknowledgement, what you're doing looks great, is great, that gives you confidence then to think, yeah, we are at that stage.
And I suppose as well, when people are visiting and you have the confidence as a teacher to say to a student, you mirror to the board, show everybody what you can do. That takes courage and confidence in your own system, that you can then, when somebody's watching, give it to a child and say, no, they use this. This is their daily, and they're confident to lead their learning.
When you go to schools, into classrooms, whether that be secondary or primary, you see the traditional ways, the teacher at the front leading the learning stood up. If you come to Inglewood, you will see children stood at the front, mirroring their iPads to the board, showing their learning, showing what they know, and helping others.
Show us how you did that. Can you share that with your friends in class? Can they do it?
I know we've had conversations even today about the changing teaching and learning from Victorian to now, and it's not really changed much, and all of these things. But you mentioned about visitors coming in, and let's bring the your word in here. Let's bring in Ofsted. Oh, you've been Ofsteded since you've obviously had this, and did they mention anything about this practice? Yeah,
absolutely. So that was in 2022. We had an inspection, and they acknowledged the great work we were doing with our iPads, how our children were confident, were independent, which was from our last target, how we were providing a real breadth of curriculum, which we're able to do by using the technology. We're able to give children the opportunity to see different parts of the world that they wouldn't be able to do without the technology, with augmented reality, with other things that we do on a daily basis, which we take for granted. Yeah. We were able to show how we're able to track progress and attainment using the technology and use it in a purposeful way. And the outdoor things the scene was powerful, of course. And it was a successful inspection. But that was our first inspection since we'd invested in the iPads in 2016. So to go through that inspection successfully meant a lot. And it felt like we'd almost been rubber stamped what we were doing. And we then gave us now the confidence, what can we do now? Where are we going to go now?
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you one last question at the moment about the progress. Have you got any sort of anecdotal evidence about progress and things that you can say that you could attribute? I mean, you can never ever attribute everything to technology or to different teachers or whatever, but was there anything you could actually do that you can mention about progress for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, some of the best progress you can't measure, and that is it. And I have to say that, and the creativity and the independence can't be measured and is powerful. But we are seeing a closing the gap between our pupil premium disadvantaged children, catching up with their peers in progress across reading and writing since we've introduced iPads. And I think that is once again how we are now able to present those subjects to children to give equitable access is having an impact, and we are starting to see that come through. Obviously, what's been difficult is when you look from us introducing in iPads in 2016 to now in 2024, right bang in the middle, we did have a pandemic, which has affected progress and attainment, but the gap is closing.
And have you got any other sort of idea that has made a progress for you, Michelle?
I think the way that children can show their learning. So if you've got a child, for example, with special educational needs, the way that they can use the technology that is available to them to explain their learning, show what they know, wouldn't be as possible if they didn't have the use of the accessibility features, for example, using the iPads. It's just giving them another kind of another way that they can continue to build on their progress.
So as you said, there's some progress that can be measured,
Of course.
and there's some progress that's intrinsic.
Yes.
And as we've said, it's confidence. It's about building up the well-being and everything else like that. Then it seems like this has had that impact. And what I'd like to dig into next is looking at how did you become an Apple Distinguished School?
I think when we go back to, like I said, we got the RTC status. I thought we were ready to be an Apple Distinguished School. I thought everything was great. I think at the time we had a meeting with Sync, our partners, and basically at that point they said, although we were doing a lot of good things, maybe we weren't quite there and ready yet. And you've got to listen to good advice. And then together we formed a plan of what we needed to do to get to that stage. And that was really important. And we looked at, with regards to the CPD for staff, once again, looking at the Everyone Could Create guides. And so we actually delayed our application by about 18 months, actually, because we wanted to put some things into place in our own school just to make sure we were absolutely ready and we were there. And that was really important. So we then started to looking at integrating Apple Teacher across school, Apple Teacher portfolio, and really having a look at the CPD, what we do with our team.
So you mentioned Apple Teacher there, Matt, and we mentioned right at the beginning that you're an Apple Teacher, Michelle.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what is an Apple Teacher?
So I think when I first joined Inglewood, that was kind of the thing that was my first target, to kind of be able to show and prove that I was able to not only use the tech that I had at my disposal, but be confident to show the children that they could use it too. You can't let the children do something that you're not, au fait with. So that was the first challenge that we were set as a staff, and all our staff are Apple teachers, including teaching assistants. Everybody who works with children have the Apple Teacher status. But linked to that as well, we all, following the Apple Working Party, a lot of our teachers now have Apple Teacher portfolio, which was really powerful, because not only were you learning about the various apps that you can use to support children, we were reflecting on that as well. And that's the key, I think. That's the crux of what Apple Teacher portfolio give us. We were planning collaboratively, as we would expect the children to work collaboratively. We were collaborating as a staff, and we were creating resources that were innovative for our children to work with, but also reflecting on that as a team. And I think that's where the growth happens.
And I think that's like one of the goals for Apple Teacher.
Yeah.
It's like an accreditation really for that teacher to say, you've really thought about this and about what you're doing, and Teach Portfolio takes that another step. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. And I know that we've worked alongside each other, Matt, on Apple Learning Institute to become an Apple Learning Leader, which again we mentioned at the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit more? What did that do for you?
I think that was a tremendous experience, really. I got to work with some really, really good people, and to sit down and to plan what we wanted to achieve in our school. What does good teaching, not only good teaching and learning with technology, but what does good teaching and learning look like in 2024? And to share those ideas, and then start to really plan for change and think about, what do we want to achieve? How are we going to achieve it? What are the barriers to change going to be? And to do that alongside really experienced professionals, to be like, it was really powerful. And we were able to then take that back into school and put it into practice, to get great ideas that could be used straight away, and start thinking then, right, in our school, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? How are we going to get there? What are our children going to do? What are our children going to say? If you speak to one of our children, what are they going to say about learning in our school? Yes, they're going to talk about iPads, of course they are, because they all have one. But actually, what does learning look like at Inglewood Junior School? And so, but it's having that time to plan, the time to listen. And that's an important thing as well. Listen to people who've done it, listen to people who've seen it, and listen to the advice that you get.
And I think from the time I know when we did that one, it was that, as you said, it listened to other people who have done it and so onwards, and understanding that you're all in the same journey, but it might be a slightly different journey, but you're all in that same journey and you can learn from different people. And that learning is important. And you mentioned about the change management of what that did and planning for that. So how did that then influence your Apple Distinguished School? What did you have to do to get the Apple Distinguished School accreditation? I
think looking at really, when you look at the Apple Distinguished School accreditation, it's looking at not only how you inspire children, but the impact the technology has. What is the impact? And what the Apple Learning Institute allowed me to do was think about, what are our children, what do we want them to achieve? Obviously, there's national expectations. We all have those across education, across primary and the secondary sectors. But what do we want children at Inglewood to achieve? How do we want them to have equitable access to everything that they do? And then to put those steps into place. So when you come to visit our school, all children, no matter what backgrounds, are accessing the curriculum in a creative, inspiring way. And inspiring children. So how do we create those experiences? How do we give teachers the confidence to provide those learning experiences, to have that confidence to take risks? And so we sat down at the Apple Learning Institute, we identified a plan, identified key members of staff, key year groups, and I went and took that into place. And then I would say potentially 6 months after that, we were ready, I think, to start the application process to become an Apple Distinguished School.
And I think what's coming massively evident from what you've just said there, Matt, is this is a team effort. Yeah. It's not one person leading this. It's about everything. And did you feel that, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't work powered by one person. It just wouldn't. That's what sets us apart, because everybody has the same why. Everybody has got the same where we want to be and why we want to do it. We're, for example, taking the Daily Mail, we're the only school in the UK that uses that app from Student Lab Tracker. They are an American company, so we're breaking down barriers as a school. But when it doesn't take one person, everybody does it together because everybody believes in the same outcome.
And I think that comes back to your vision, doesn't it?
It
comes back to your vision at the very beginning. So you applied for this, and there's a process, and obviously. Did you have help with that? Did you have other people that could work with that with you?
Absolutely. We were supported by Sync every step of the way, because the process, it's thorough. It's a thorough process to become an Apple Distinguished School, which starts off with sort of a conversation with Apple. But before we went into that conversation, as a team, by the way, there were 5 people on that call talking about how we used Apple technology in our school. But before that, we were supported by Sync, who allowed us or helped us to sort of strategize and explain, give us the tools to explain what we were doing and put that across well. I want to say held our hands a little bit, which you need. And then obviously after the process, there were other things. There's an application form, there are 3 videos, and we were supported alongside doing that. We were doing all the things that we said we were doing, of course. That's the most important thing. But that had to have that partner with us to help us really put that message across was really important.
And I think again, what you've said there is, it's about not just using the technology well. It's not about an Apple Distinguished School. Is not just, I use an iPad in my classroom. It's about what is the innovation you're doing, and you guys have proved it all the way since you started with iPads. You've been on that journey. You've gone through an RTC. You've gone to an ADS, and you've got all of these accolades. And the crucial part that you said is you were just doing it. These are things you picked up as you went along.
Absolutely. Well, I remember when Matt was getting the videos ready and the portfolio ready to produce it, to prove that we were a distinguished school. Things were happening. You were going into classrooms and seeing things that actually was our everyday. And we didn't think, just thinking about when you came into my classroom and there was children on the floor, on the carpet with an iPad, but a child was almost teaching that group. That was our everyday. It wasn't anything that we thought, this is groundbreaking, this is different. No, that was golden for you to see that actually that is different. The but it was natural for the teacher, it was natural for the children, because it was, actually collecting the evidence became easy. Because it was natural for our teachers, it was natural for the children, because it was our day to day.
I was proud. I was really proud when I went around. When I collated the videos to create the 3 videos that you have to do as part of the application, I remember feeling so proud when I got around school, and the process was quite easy.
So much good happening.
Yeah, because we were doing exactly what we said we were doing.
Yeah.
For the rubric, it was just all I had to do was go into a classroom and take footage. It was actually then alongside Sync just editing the footage to put the message across. All the great things were happening. They didn't have to be staged. They were happening on a daily basis naturally.
And I think that's what sets you apart when it is easy. It's happening daily.
And I think one of the things from there is, if it's happening daily and this is just your normal practice, then that's what makes you,
of course,
that outstanding sort of version of who you
and
are.
And you have the confidence to share it then with other schools who can think, right, that's the gold standard, that's where we need to be.
We're coming closer to the end of obviously this podcast for what we're talking about, but there's so much that we could talk about further, and it's been brilliant to hear about your journey. But I'm now thinking about, what is that one success or that one challenge that you've had throughout this journey that you could probably share with other people, that if they were going down this journey, what is it that you would say, this is a success I had, or this is a challenge that I would have? And I'll go to you first, Matt.
I think success, is what teaching and learning looks like at Inglewood Junior School in 2024 compared to what teaching and learning looked like in 2016, of which we were very proud in 2016. We were a good school in 2016, but I think now when you come around our school and see children that are engaged, that are excited, that are leading their learning, I think that's why we did it in the first place. Yeah. So that for me is the big success, is when you come and look at our children.
What about a challenge? Sorry about that, Michelle.
I think challenge-wise, I think first of all, what I think I touched on earlier is some of the practice that came out of the COVID pandemic. We had to start again, vision plan again, and start again. I also think that obviously, maintaining the technology across school to make sure it continues to be used in a powerful and meaning way, and technology is ever changing. Devices, there's new devices each year, there's new systems each year, and keeping on top of that can provide a challenge.
And I suppose that challenge comes from a CPD version, but also a financial sustainability version, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that comes down to your planning. We have to plan ahead. You have to plan for next year, and what will happen in 2026 when, say, devices are this many years old, and it all comes down to planning. But what's great is we've had support from Sync all the way with that, and continue to do so.
Yeah. Brilliant. And can I ask the same question, Michelle? What's your success, and what was your challenge?
It's a big success for me has got to be the outdoor, how we use the iPads outside the classroom, removing that ceiling for children and allowing them to be free, but also to keep creating outside. That's been a huge success from my point of view. Challenges, I would say, is almost flipping the way that teachers think, and it's okay to take a risk, and we continue to kind of drive that forward at our school.
And I really like that challenge because that challenge is a challenge, but if you can do it, it's a massive success as well, isn't it?
Is priceless, really.
Yeah. Brilliant questions there. And so one last question. I've only got one last question for you both, and that is, what is your top tip if somebody was going to go on this journey that you've gone, and you've gone from just shared iPads to one-to-one, to being Apple teachers, to being Apple leaders, to being regional training centres, to Apple distinguished schools? There's so many acronyms that we actually have with this. If you're going to explain what is your top tip for somebody that's going to go on this journey, what would it be, Matt?
Well, you're going to love the journey. The journey is part of the fun, and it is fun, and it is great, and it is challenging. My top tip would be listen. Yeah. Please listen to your partners, listen to the people who've done it, look at people who are doing it, listen to the advice you get, take your time, and you'll get there.
Brilliant. I love that. Listen. So Yeah, definitely listen for everyone else that's listening here. And then the same question to you. What would be your top tip for anyone that's gone on this journey, Michelle?
Don't be afraid to ask for help, because that, and in doing so, you'll grow.
Ask for help.
Yeah.
And I suppose as teachers, we sometimes we talk about growth mindsets, don't we? And teachers always have to get things right, and we expect children to make mistakes and so on. And let's be honest, FAIL stands for first attempt in learning, doesn't it? So
there's strength in collaboration. And
absolutely.
That's once you see that in action, you won't go wrong.
And I think sometimes sharing where things go wrong, and especially across having that network of people that you can collaborate with is really helpful, isn't it? And I know you have, and you've shared before that with the ELI we could talk with loads of people where things went wrong and be honest and share those, which is really helpful, isn't it? So I'm just going to finish off and say thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you very much, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us in this episode of Empowered.